Are you having money issues in the forever winter? Do you need a quick injection of cash to get you back on your feet? Do you have nothing but the surplus gear on your back? This 3-minute Scorched Enclave run might just be what you need. Starting out on the region map, make sure to have Scorched Enclave selected, and then select in the bottom right, Change Entry Point. On the entry point screen, make sure to select Cemetery as your spawn point. Moving over to our loadout, we're going full surplus gear shaman with a standard rig. As you progress through the game and obtain better rigs, this run becomes more and more lucrative. But for its baseline, it still provides a sizable quick influx of cash. Loading into Scorched Enclave, we'll quickly begin sprinting toward our first loot spawn. As we approach this first spawn, there is generally between 1 to 2 squads of enemies not too far past the point, and are best avoided. Here we have our first loot spawn, which I have found to either be a loot or mod container, or an explosive pack. And here we have the aforementioned 2 squads engaged in combat. The second loot spawn, highlighted here, has a container spawn, several loose item spawns, that also includes a chance of a gotcha container. Throughout runs of this map, if you deem it safe, you can take the time to loot various drop bags of fallen enemies, as seen here. The general rule of thumb being that if enemies are shooting each other, they will not shoot you if you don't shoot them. Here we have our third loot spawn, which I have only found to be a medical crate with no loose items. Moving to the fourth loot spawn, it's advisable to take a second to survey your surroundings and wait for pathing units, as it will generally influence either going to or skipping the fifth loot spawn. Here is the fourth loot spawn, which I have found to be primarily a loose item spawn heavily favored toward a large lockbox. As we head to the optional fifth loot spawn, you'll see that we draw aggro of an enemy squad. It's important not to panic or get bogged down in combat, and utilize the shielding the rig provides us to continue on our way. The fifth loot spawn has 2 elements, a locked puzzle door containing various loose items like water, and an upper area often having explosives. Unless you require the water or the explosives for a quest, you can run by this area. Here is a large lockbox spawn, typically unneeded outside of bad luck or bringing a larger rig. Here is our next loot spawn, being a loose item with a chance of being a gotcha. Our next loot spawn is often a container with various loose items surrounding it. From here, we double back to check the next set of loot spawns. Along the way, you will generally find plentiful bags of loot from fallen enemies. This next loot spawn is often a container with 1 loose item spawn. Doubling back one last time, we can loot any bags we find as we head back up the stairs. This loot spawn is a single loose item spawn, which has the chance of being a gotcha. This item spawn is a crate with loose items surrounding it. From here, we will jump down and quickly make our way toward the extract, ignoring any enemies in the area. On our way to the extract, there is one last item spawn that tends to be either ammunition or weapon mods, which I find not worth the risk. And here we find ourselves at the extract, only 2.5 minutes later. And here we have the fruits of our labor. Let's go ahead and break down our big ticket items with how much we made in that 2.5 minute run. We have our lockbox at 15k, our 3 weapon techs at 9k each for a total of 27k, our plans for 9.8k, and lastly the circuitry for 2.3k, totaling 54.1 thousand. Not too bad for 2.5 minutes of work. That's it for this video. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe. It not only helps me, but helps the algorithm.